everyone, welcome back to the channel. So for any new visitors to this channel, I am a video producer in my day job who spends a lot of time sitting and editing from home. And let's be honest, the sedentary life can really sneak up on you. So much so that I went from being a pretty healthy, relatively fit guy, putting on nearly 10 kilograms up until last Christmas. So I challenged myself. Since then, I've made it a daily target to hit 8 to 10k steps, but living in the UK means it's not always easy to want to go outside. So what if I use a walking pad? Specifically this WalkingPad P1. Now, could I use it to achieve my steps goals and maybe be more productive at the same time? Now, before we start, I do want to say that the P1 was sent to us for free, but regardless of that, our opinions and thoughts are always independent. I found that this walking pad is really convenient because it folds in half and fits right under my standing desk. I was also pleasantly surprised at how relatively quiet it is. You can hear that it has a bit of a whir, but compared to some other walking pads I've heard, it is definitely much quieter. And to me, it's just kind of like white noise, and you can just play some music or put on some headphones anyway, so you're not going to be too distracted by it. Now, one thing to note is that it's not really recommended to use this on carpet. It does create a bit of noise due to the friction, but you can just buy something like these walking pad mats, or even just using an exercise or yoga mat instead. I'd also recommend using the pad with shoes on just for health and safety and to make sure you don't injure yourself long term. It is basically like a hard-ish surface, so you definitely don't want to be on barefoot. Now, this doesn't go beyond walking pace. You can't really or shouldn't really run on this, and I much prefer to use this at a slower pace. Now, the P1 walking pad that we have also has an auto mode, which basically has like some kind of smart feet sensing control, and you're able to speed up or slow down the walking pace depending on where you're standing on the walking pad. Now, I have tried this, it does work, but I prefer personally just to use the remote or the app to speed it up or slow it down rather than trying and figure out like stepping back or forward to control it. The max user capacity as well is 100 kilograms, so just keep that in mind if you are someone who is slightly heavier. So I've set myself the target of using this walking pad for 30 days, and I started slow with just sort of 30 minutes in the morning while checking emails and things like that. Then I sort of add 15 to 20 minutes here and there during like long editing sessions. I'd go for little bursts of walking when I would usually start feeling a little bit tense and a little bit stiff for being in the same position for a prolonged period of time, despite having a nice chair. And usually I'd need to take a break to go make some coffee, look for snacks. I'm sure we all know that feeling. But before I knew it, I was hitting 5k steps without even leaving the house. The only thing that's a bit of a downside for me, and it's not a fault of the pad, it's hard to track my steps because my Garmin watch won't count them if my hands are on the desk and I'm not sort of making that swinging motion for the steps to count. There are ways around it, like putting it on your leg instead. And I know this isn't super important for some people, but if you are someone who likes to keep track, it is something to bear in mind. You can still see the amount of steps on the app, and it would be great if that could sync with other apps to contribute to the daily target without the workarounds. So here's the surprising thing. I actually found that I got more done walking with the pad on my desk whilst I was editing and doing kind of like menial tasks. Walking gave me this weird momentum that carried into my edits. That meant like I was less inclined to scroll, less zoning out, less tabbing out, going on like social media pages or reading the news. And I didn't really feel that post-lunch slump around 2 p.m. that I usually always get. Like I said, I also use this during more menial tasks like replying to emails, writing up scripts, etc. But it was during creative tasks like cutting a video, color grading, etc. where I found walking while working somehow really helped me get through those mental blocks that you sometimes get. Another thing that I found was that I felt way less guilty at the end of the day. I wasn't crushed by that sort of I didn't move enough feeling today. It does feel a little bit weird sort of walking and not having the momentum of like moving towards something. So sometimes I did feel a little bit slightly dizzy after I stopped walking and I got off the walking pad. But after a few times, I slowly stopped noticing this as much. Now, this is something that just affects me. I do get dizzy in general, but my wife was able to use the pad for long periods of time, like watching TV shows and things like that, and she didn't feel dizzy at all. So again, your mileage may vary. Now, in terms of things I like and didn't like about the P1, here are some of my pros and cons. So my first pro is that it is reasonably compact and foldable. It is pretty heavy, but the wheels at the bottom make it easy to move. As I said before, it's also quiet enough for work, so it's not overly distracting and it isn't loud at all. As mentioned, it makes it really easy to hit those daily steps, whether you're someone who is just starting their fitness journey or if someone who's a little bit more along the way. and it surprisingly really boosts your focus. It generally has made me more productive. Also, the build quality, now I can't comment on the long-term build quality, but it does feel really well made. It's very sturdy, and I feel like it feels like a $400 product. And finally, the remote and the app make it very easy to control. Now, the app itself has got a few programs and video tutorials that you can follow along. To be honest, I haven't really used any of these. I just used the remote mostly to control things, but the app gives you lots of added functionality. Now, the cons of this walking pad is that there's no incline or any kind of advanced features. It would be nice to have a screen on the actual walking pad itself. Now, there are other models that do have this function, but unfortunately on this model, no screen. You are of course also limited to walking speeds. Now, if you're looking for like a treadmill, something to run on, then obviously that's a different kind of product. These are walking pads, they're not designed for running. You can walk pretty fast on this, but like I said, I prefer just to walk at a moderate, steady pace. And of course, you do need to invest in a standing desk setup to work and walk at the same time and get the most of the benefits. Another con is that you can't store it vertically, so you need to find a way to tuck it away lying flat. If you're in a tiny flat, for example, then that might not be ideal. Also, it is $400 US, so it's not what I would call cheap, but it does seem in line with other walking pads with similar features. Honestly, for what it is, it nails down the basics. I didn't really need something super fancy or high-end. I literally just wanted something to supplement my daily steps, and the P1 has been absolutely amazing for that. So if you work from home, especially at a desk, and you're struggling to get movement in, this thing pretty much pays for itself really fast. I say it's less about fitness and more about building better daily habits without changing your whole life. It's not something that's going to magically make you fitter and healthier, but it's an amazing way to supplement already healthy habits in your life. I was already on a weight loss program, and I knew I needed something to just boost those times of the day when I wasn't being active, and this really has helped me get to my goals faster. I've now lost almost 10 kilograms since Christmas, and there's no doubt that this has helped me get over that these past few weeks. So that's it for this video. If you've got any questions, drop them down in the comments section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel. We do lots of camera and lens reviews, and recently we have started dabbling in wildlife photography. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.